What it is, what it ain't, what it do, what it don't. Welcome back, episode 12. Doodads, bro. Look, if you're just tuning in, if you've been tuning in for a while, if you got a friend that's told you about us, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Go to Official Doodads Podcast on the YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the dinger. Check us out on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, now on Apple Podcasts. Please like, subscribe, share.
Video coming soon to Spotify, from what I understand.
Well, video, yeah, man. Look, we're hitting the stratosphere with all 218, I think, of our subscribers on our YouTube channel. But it's wild, man. That's so cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, want to give a shout out also to Dad Gang Apparel, Dad Gang Company. Check out the stitching. Check out this quality headgear. If you're looking for a hat, beanie, scully, whatever floats your boat, they got tons of colors, tons of designs. It's all to support being a dad. Go to Dad Gang Apparel, Dad Gang Company at Dad Gang Apparel, Dad Gang Company. When you're checking out with a hat, whatnot, go ahead and go to the promo code, go to Doodads, DODADS, 14721. That's Doodads, 14721. Get you a hat, get you 10% off. Tell everybody about Doodads. Also, this shirt right here. I copped this from Tatted Bad Clothing. Our boy, old Andrew Gotro, old AG Customs.
It's a good shirt.
Yeah, man. Tyrone Biggums, man.
Dude.
We out ya.
Those are the good old days.
Bro.
Of old Chappelle.
That was when offensive TV was good.
Yeah, I was younger-ish. I was probably entirely too young to be watching that. Dylon.
You were the exact right age.
I guess you're right. It probably shaped a lot of my humor.
When you do something, I think, and it creates a nexus of like continuing humor.
Yeah.
That like your skit can become a skit of a skit. Because you see all these trends on like social media, like Facebook. I remember, what was it, 5 years ago? Like, name your 5 top best whatever, 5 best athletes, 5 whatever. And they would tag somebody, right? It was like a chain letter on Facebook. And the fact that I went, the Jamaican bobsled team, Jamaican bobsled team, Jamaican bobsled team, Jamaican bobsled team. Oh, yes, and Jamaican bobsled team. And one, there was like a reference to Cool Runnings. But the fact that one of my friends went, because they spit hot fire, I went, you get it. You got the assignment.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Chappelle's like, he is forever. He will be in the ether for forever.
Well, and like, there was nothing else like that show. It was brilliant, and I mean, I remember like the one skit that stood out for me, I guess because of the time frame, was the Lil Jon one, when he's like in the airport. I mean, and everything.
Yeah.
Like, we would walk around school talking like that, and it wasn't because we all loved Lil Jon. It was because of the Chappelle skit. But
yeah.
Anyway, dude, it's a Saturday morning. I don't know if I'm not supposed to say that or not, but I might have just totally screwed up the...
I still like the fact that, like, when you talked about, like, the gender reveal, I was like, in the multiverse, I technically know before your family does.
Right.
But it wasn't coming out
until after my family knew, which makes the internet...
It's Saturday now, but it might be Monday next week.
Yeah, I'm still shaking back from our festivities on Thursday night.
You went and saw, like, a Christian band, right?
Yeah, one could call them that. It's funny, actually. I messaged Jed yesterday. I messaged Jed and I was like, "Do you listen to either of these bands?" And he, being the purist that he is, he was like, "Yeah, dude, I really liked this one, but then they got a little bit too radio rock for me." And I was like, "I get it, but they blew that building to pieces last night, man. And it was a good time." Shout out Nothing More and Wage War and
Jed's look.
So fun, man.
Jed's that guy.
Yeah, no, I get it. That's like the like all of the Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar feuding that's happening right now. All of like the old hip hop heads are criticizing the beef or whatever because it's funny. You never know though. Like I believe that the 90s rap beefs and the early 2000s rap beefs were real rap beefs. Today it's like, is this just for views and listeners and entertainments and just like because you're bored? Like what do you
depends.
What do you
I think
do?
it depends because I think if you're somebody like MGK, you're trying to be relevant. The problem is you picked a fight with the wrong person and got murdered.
Yeah. And anyone who says otherwise, you obviously know nothing about anything.
There was an era where if you dissed LL Cool J, that was suicide. It was career suicide.
Yeah.
You never heard from Cannabis ever again.
Yeah.
When you went after Jay, it was suicide. The only one who ever kept up with him was Nas.
Yeah.
If you go after him, you're getting murdered.
It's over. You don't.
And if J. Cole and K. Dot were smart, they would just combine forces like Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan did. And
go after Drake.
Oh, dude, just go after the evil power, man.
Yeah.
Because Drake represents the machine. He really does.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is the pop radio machine.
Yeah.
And but dude, Kendrick's from Compton.
Right.
Like he's he's about that life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drake's from Toronto.
Yeah. But but
nothing against my Ontario friends.
He's got ties to Memphis.
What?
Drake.
Ties to Memphis.
I think his dad lives in Memphis, or he Drake talks about having goons in Memphis an awful lot.
Drake's at every basketball game wearing one of their jerseys.
Yeah.
Drake's that guy.
Drake is he's got some good music.
Like E40's been supporting the Golden State Warriors since the day. So like he gets props, but Drake.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I would have to imagine. I was talking to somebody about that the other day. Like, at some point, I figure you got to get bored. Like, what do you rap about now? What do you make music about now after you've spent over a decade making music about everything else you could?
Did you listen to Kendrick's Steppers album?
No.
Okay, so real talk, like, and I'm a bit of a head, like,
yeah.
J. Cole, Kendrick, I mean, they are still part of this like conscious rap kind of backpack. I mean, even Killer Mike and like Run the Jewels. I mean, there's still like this idea of like we're trying to educate. This isn't NBA Youngboy, which shout out, good luck, buddy. But like, I mean, it's just
so screwed.
I'm just saying, like, it's a real thing, right? Like, there's a certain, if you're trying to live this life, then this is what you rap about. But like, who's still trying to live that life?
Right.
You got people like Killer Mike. You got people, that group Run the Jewels. I mean, even going as far back as Outkast and, these people that tried to like educate, Tribe Called Quest, it was conscious rap, whatever. K-Dot and J. Cole are very much still trying to like expand hip hop and whatnot.
Sure.
And it I don't know. Oh man, Drake he grinds my gears.
Yeah,
he really does.
Well, and that's I've always liked Kendrick Lamar, but I've always preferred J. Cole for whatever reason.
Sure.
I just like, I mean, that off-season album that his last was ridiculous. I mean, and so I've always followed more closely his music than Kendrick's, and I'll get into Kendrick's music at some point. But
that's what I was gonna say. The Steppers album, he released that in. I forget where I was driving back from, but I was listening to it. I got road rage. I was laughing hysterically, and I legit sobbed. Mm-hmm. He has a song on that album, and I'm going to tell you to go listen to it.
Yeah, I'm not going
to tell you which one it is, and it's his story, so I don't want to even like begin to try to tell the story of this song to you. Like, I feel like I would do it a disservice, but like I was sobbing.
Yeah.
Because this man, grown ass man, is like on bars being like, let me tell you about trauma. And I mean, I'm sitting here driving like just sobbing because I was like, dude, I want to go hug this dude. I don't get that from Drake.
No.
Certified lover, like, okay, cool. Like it classic.
Sure.
Right. How old is it?
Yeah, I know.
We're still
I know.
we're still there.
So that brings me to a thought when it comes to.
Please, let's get off of hip hop criticism.
What do you and Ben listen to? Does Ben listen to what you listen to? Do you
Absolutely
tailor
So
what he
I have
listens
video.
to, what he hears? Do you just
So, all right, I know that like stepping into Courtney with Aubrey, I wasn't going to just immediately be like, I think, I'm like, this is your kid. You're inviting me into this situation.
right?
So I'm going to, kind of tread lightly. But definitely when Aubrey has been in the car with me, I listen to mainly sports radio for the most part, but I was very conscious of like, I don't know what I should be listening with her. I let Courtney kind of steer that ship. Now, they were listening to like Katy Perry and all this like really kind of glam pop and all that, but they were also listening to like, and people would probably crucify my wife, but they were listening to Nicki Minaj and all that. And it didn't change the fact that they also saw the Barbie movie. Like Courtney's been very, very instrumental in like with Aubrey giving her the platform to discover being a girl, being a woman. Like, what does that mean? Female empowerment, like the female conscience, listening to Lizzo or Gaga or whatever, like expand your mind on what a woman is. She doesn't just wear an apron and sweep.
Yeah.
She doesn't just Betty Crocker and cook, but there are abstract roads of music and literature and things that I am always, when it comes to Aubrey, I'm like, I was at Barnes and Noble, and somebody came over with this, I think it's Hannah Huang, and it's a series, but they were returning the books, and I said, oh, my daughter is reading that right now. And she was like, oh, yeah, we kind of saw some of the content. And there's some content in there, some adult content, and they were very like, we're returning this. We don't think it's appropriate. And I was like, oh, I understand. It's like my child's a little bit older, and I feel a little more confident in her ability to comprehend and understand. And also she has, she has the world at her fingertips. Yeah. So if I think I'm gonna keep her from a book,
right.
But anyways, and she was like, our daughter's 14, and I was like, oh yeah,
so it's mine.
Yeah, I mean, Aubrey hadn't turned 15 yet, and I was like, yeah, so is mine. She was like, oh, okay, and then I got to bless you, and I was like, I don't even know what to do with that one, right? Yeah. But with Ben, it's crazy because I have videos of us like jamming out to Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
OPP by Naughty by Nick, because
yeah,
I want him to know who I am.
Yeah.
One thing with my dad, I do know that I always felt like I didn't have was, and maybe it was because he was older, but that's the crazy thing is my dad's the same age I was.
Yeah.
He was 39 when I was born. But I feel like I met this old man. Like when I started to comprehend like my father, I met an old man. Like when I was like, that's my dad. That's an old man. That was a guy who settled into wearing like just slacks and penny loafers and guayaberas and drinking, his beer and reading his newspaper. And I was like, so what? Come on, what did you listen to? What changed? What changed your what gave you? What opened your mind to the world? What was instrumental in your growth as a person? And I didn't feel like I got that. And so with Ben, I'm like, no, man, I want you to hear Red Hot Chili Peppers. I want you to hear Rage Against the Machine. I want you to hear like the Beastie Boys. Like, dude, the break on Sabotage, that's our dude, and he gets to. And then that bass line, and he just loses it, and it sets my soul on fire.
That's such a good point that I want you to know who I am. Like, by no means is it my intention to be the cool dad, but like,
right.
I'm a cool dad, but it's Julia, like, when she's with, it's funny because there's a crossover. Like if 9 times out of 10 when she's with Jamie, they listen to worship music and she knows all the words and everything, which I think is great and I love it.
Absolutely.
When she's with me, we listen to
Avenged Sevenfold.
We listen to my music, you know, or her music. Like, it's funny, every time we get in my truck, she's like, Daddy, I want you to play Kelly Clarkson's song and then whatever comes after that. Because, like, you know, on Spotify, like, you can pick one song and then it'll just give you a random playlist of others. So, like, she loves Since You've Been Gone and Behind These Hazel Eyes by Kelly Clarkson. She knows all the words to both of them. And then, like, the songs that follow up are all similar songs from that era, whether it's, like, Paramore, she loves Paramore, or Panic at the Disco, Fall Out Boy, like, which is funny because, like, that's when I was in middle school. Those were all of, like, the really popular kind of, like, new indie type,
absolutely
emo-ish bands that were coming out. And so it brings me back to this, like, you know, I still have CDs from girlfriends that they burned me with, like, those bands on there and stuff like that. And then
that was back when I was a hipster, before there was a term for a hipster. I wasn't wearing skinny jeans, but that was when my generation was looking at y'all going, this music.
What a bunch of this was like
hair flipping weirdos.
2003 through 2007,
right?
That time frame, and but you know, and then there are times, depending on what, she's just like a woman, based on her mood, like she will listen to, she calls it Daddy's loud songs. I want to listen to one of your loud songs. And so I'll put on some Sleep Token or some Wage Bore or some Lamb of God or something that's super heavy and intense, and like she'll be back there doing this, and I love every minute of it. But it's funny because, like, if we go somewhere as a family, we usually take Jamie's car, not my truck, and if we get in, like, and I put my music on, she'll fuss because she's like, no, this is sacred to Daddy's truck, which is cool. It's like a thing that we have, you know, because we do our date nights on Mondays and we, you know, do our little things and whatever. But I also remember, like, Jamie would probably disagree with me a little bit, which is perfectly fine. But, like, to a certain extent, like, I know she doesn't want her hearing, you know, F-bombs every other word and just, like, really, you know, ratchet shit, which is fine. But I also remember being a kid, and shout out Aunt Tammy, because I know she listens to this. This is one of my mom's good friends, and she was like a second mother to me growing up. But she introduced me to Limp Bizkit and Godsmack and, you know, Breaking Benjamin and all of these, like, and I remember, like, being in third grade, second grade, like, just losing my mind to Break Stuff and Rollin' and My Generation, Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water, Limp Bizkit. Like, I would get the edited version of the CD from my parents, and she would take it and return it and get me the unedited version. Like, shout out Aunt Tammy, man. But that, like, I look back now and, like, it there's a lot of that, like, I don't want to say shaped me as a child, but, like, I'm not musically talented or musically inclined whatsoever. I used to know, like, a couple of chords on the guitar because I thought chicks thought it was cool, but, like, I've always loved music, and Julia does too, and, like, I just, you know, I liked the point that you made. Like, I want her to know who her dad is and what her dad listens to. And, like, I was showing her videos from the concert Thursday night, and it was cool, man. That there was, like, some guys there with their daughters. We actually met a friend of a friend who he brings his 11 or 12-year-old daughter to all of these metal shows, and she's obsessed with them and loves them and always wears her little band T-shirts and stuff. And it's like a father-daughter thing they do together. And, you know, there was some dads there at the show Thursday with their probably, you know, 6, 7, 8-year-old daughters on their shoulders with the earmuffs on. And that'll never be me. And I maybe not, but, you know, I do. It's cool. I mean, if music is one of those things that can, like, bring people together who otherwise may or may not be together or have anything in common, then, like, why would I not want to share that with my kid in some kind of way, you know? And
well, I think, you know, like, that's like the group on Facebook that we found, Metal Dad Merch, Metal Dad Initiative or Collective, I think.
Yeah, Metal Dad,
yeah. That's their whole scene. Is they're working class dads who are trying to be dads. Some of them are married, some of them aren't. Some of them, you know, are estranged or split from the mothers of their kids, but they, you know, they still try to have a relationship with their kids, and they take pictures and post them in that little group, and they're like, yeah, they're at Sleep Token shows with the kids on their shoulders or whatever. I just think, you know, it is such an interesting topic because I want my kids to know who I am and not who I was.
Yeah.
You know, and I want them to know, like, yes, I have it, and it's okay. I heard this the other day on Rogan, and he was talking about, you know, people say like, oh, you know, you change your mind or your opinions too much. And it's like, no, I'm human.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to be who I was last year or who I was 5 years. I mean, I grow, I change. I'm going to feel one way about gun control. I might feel another way tomorrow. I'm going to feel one way about minimum wage. I'm going to feel another way tomorrow. You know, it's always growing and learning. But those things that shape me, music, fashion, industry, like I am 43 years old. I graduated in 1999. Like, I cannot talk about my high school career without talking about Columbine. I literally am the graduating class that happened at. Like, I cannot talk about my formative years in college without talking about 9/11. I know that the first CD I ever bought was The Chronic by Dr. Dre. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are things. And I think it's, again, like I said, you know, my mom and dad were married in 1964, and so they were a part of a very specific era in the country. My mom always said post Elvis, pre Beatles. You know, they dated and they met in 1960. They were married in 1964, and they were part of the counterculture. They were part of an era in the country where you were moving away from hip shaking and poodle dresses and big bobs to like people who were writing and singing and folk music, and, you know, just people were having like outside of Pleasantville, USA thinking. And it's crazy because the fact that my dad then like became like a national public radio listener, and I feel like my dad stopped somewhere.
Like stopped growing or changing?
Yeah, maybe. Because I don't want to speak for him. It's merely an observation, but it's like there were a lot of things about my dad I think that at one time were really cool. And I'm like, I think to some degree I'm supposed to think you're uncool until I get a certain age. Like, you know, you're the coolest thing in the world, then you're uncool for a while, and then, you know, I grow up a little bit and I'm like, actually, you know, you were pretty yeah. But a lot of our disconnect and a lot of our discord was because he got stuck in some certain, and he didn't continue to grow, and like he didn't share some of that stuff with me. And so when I was like, why are you like this? It was very much like I've said before this, because I am, and I'm the parent and you're the child, and deal with it. There was no communication. There was no like, you know, peering behind the curtain to see the man behind the curtain. And I was still looking at the great and powerful Oz. And I think like for my kids, I want them to know like, no, man, this is who I am. And this is who I continue to be and grow and aspire. Like I do believe that, you know, Freedom by Rage Against the Machine is like, it's just one of the most powerful songs ever. And that whatever establishment you're working for, whether it's your boss, whether it's the federal government, whether it's local government, whether it's any sort of institutional hierarchy that's got you feeling like you're pinned down and in a box, in the hamster wheel, it speaks to you. And I think it's brilliant. I think music like that is genius, just as much as I think that the Beastie Boys are brilliant and genius, just as much as I think Red Hot Chili Peppers are then, you know, again, like Run the Jewels, a more current group, you know, like I am wanting to always grow like that, and I want my kids to see that, and I want my kids to hear the music that shaped me.
Yeah. Well, and then you know, I'll never, well, I don't know. I'm one of those people who listens to and appreciates every part of, like, there's music that I like because I like the way it sounds, just point blank period, the way it sounds, you know, and I'm not musically inclined. So like all you music people that might be listening to this and my musically inclined friends, don't at me. if I get this wrong, but like the composition of the music and like when the breakdown comes and, you know, what the pre-chord and the build up and all that, like the way it sounds and the way it makes me feel. And then there's other music that it's what they're saying. And there's there's songs that I've heard before that didn't affect me a certain way or that I didn't like at that point in my life because I was where I was, and then fast forward however many days, months, years later, and I've changed and I've grown, and it hits me in a totally different way because now I might have a relatable experience. You know, like some of those old songs that I was listening to growing up that were like angry and anti this and that like as a 9-year-old white kid that was, you know, going to a private school and had a really good family life. It was just like, you know, like
want to rebel.
The Slim Shady LP. What does that mean to young Brandon? Like nothing makes sense. But like, you know, as I grow older and more mature, I guess, and songs like, you know, Cleaning Out My Closet make a little bit more sense, or what, or you know, like, and that's what's so cool about music and why I love it so much and why I want my children to love it so much is because it is so fluid. And because, for example, there's a song, one of the bands we saw Thursday, Nothing More, they have a song called Fade In, Fade Out. And it's written by one of the band members about him and his dad and him and his son. And, you know, like, I'm not going to like sing the song, go listen to it if you want to, but like I've heard it before. And now that I'm having a son, it made me bawl my eyes out Thursday night, just like listening to it and listening to the words. And like, you know, essentially like from the standpoint of the dad, like I've watched you fade in, you'll watch me fade out. Like these are the things when I'm gone, I want you to carry on, you know, hold your head up, make your mark, you know, always push through the pain. Like, don't run away from change, like all of this different stuff that I'm like, man, this is powerful, you know. And like, I don't know, it's something that like there's power in that in
yeah, I can see it.
I'm telling you, dude, there's something about what people are able to do with music to bring up certain emotions and certain relatable topics or whatever aside from, I mean, and I'm also just like the guy that like put on 50 Cent in the club and I can't relate to any of that, but it's a good little bopper to listen to every now and then, you know. And like, I don't know, man, I don't want to pigeonhole Julio or Brady into like, nah, you're gonna only listen to country because daddy listens to country. Like, show me that goofy stuff you like, except unless it's like freaking Cocomelon songs, get that shit out of here. But you know, it's not really music.
No, it's just nursery rhymes and getting them to understand colors and numbers.
Yeah.
Nothing good about it.
No.
It's because I feel the same way. Like, you know, I set up Ben's little chair and he's gonna. I'm like, all right, what do you want to watch? And he's like, Cocomelon. I'm like, of course you want to watch.
Of course you want to watch Cocomelon.
Why not? Why wouldn't we want to hear about, you know, old McGregor had a farm for the umpteenth time?
One of the happiest moments in my short life as a parent was when we phased out of Cocomelon.
Yeah, I mean, he's not like a regular Cocomelon guy anymore, but he's still like every once in a while he wants to check it out, and I'm like, all right, whatever, because it makes him happy.
I will say though that it was like a stem cell HGH growth process in what Julia was watching. Like it went from like Cocomelon, Paw Patrol, whatever, to like Mary-Kate like human movies with human people, Mary-Kate and Ashley movies from when they were little, Parent Trap, Matilda, all this other stuff, to where now she's just like a movie character and has this attitude of like a teenage girl because she's watched Mary-Kate and Ashley be sassy and back talk and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, where's the worship music? Where's that? Put that shit on, because we need more of that and less of the orphan from It Takes Two.
Well, you know, that brings like the idea of a podcast and this, especially the video. You know, the audio is one thing, but especially the video. I also, it's a lot of introspection, you know, a lot of being honest with yourself and saying, man, you know, here's this little human 30 years from now. they'll be able to find this.
Yeah.
So everything I say is very important. Everything I do, it's always going to be very, you know, my buddy Di Lorenzo is trying to FaceTime right now. You know, I should put him on. I should be like, what's it like raising a kid in Chicago? But it's wild because I know that everything that I say and do now, at least once a week, and it'll be out there on the webs.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to find it. Even more important, young Danny and Laura, my granddaughter and grandson.
Danny and Laura.
You know, like, I don't even know that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, what we're doing will be out there. And so it's all, you know, I'm always thinking, okay, so what am I leaving? What am I, you know, you talk about legacy again. So the music I listen to and the music that I introduce them to, I hope is constantly, because I think that that's also just pop culture in general, right? The idea of what Elvis and them were doing in the 50s, you know, you look at Ritchie Valens, Buddy Holly, Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, they were Johnny Cash, because he was, you know, they were a part of a change, a shift in music. And they introduced this, and then it kind of ebbed and became pop. And then there was a shift in consciousness and music and writing and all that, right? And then you introduced the 60s, and it became pop. And then there was a shift in consciousness and writing again in the late 60s, early 70s, you know, and then it became pop.
Yeah.
And then, because that's what happens, right? The moment a Berry Gordy or whoever with whatever record label or whatever exec goes, oh my God, we're finding these little pockets that really get into this, they start trying to mass produce it, right? That's why when Green Day became successful, right? When Green Day became successful, what followed them? Blink-182. And what followed them? Yellow Card and Sum 40. And we're going to now saturate pop punk.
Yep.
You know, we have you know, NWA, now we have Dr. Dre and all, and then now what do we start doing? Every person who can rhyme for 3 verses, you know, 16 to 24 bars, we're going to put it out with a really good hook.
Yeah.
And it's just, and there eventually becomes evolution and change. And what I want is my kids to be a part of that, to see that within me, and to also, you know, see that, you know, in themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that whether it's Coco Melon or whether it's you know, Rage Against the Machine, you know, because there's some music I listened to at one point that I'm like, God, I hope my kids never listen to that.
Yeah.
Not even because it's like bad influences or whatever, but I'm like, it's also just terrible.
It's also really just bad.
I'm like,
music.
how did I end up ever liking that?
Well, I mean, and for me, it's always been, you know, well, for me, it's always been in some way, shape, or form a reflection of either how I'm actually feeling or how I think I want to feel. Like back to the like Limp Bizkit and Eminem and like the stuff. Like I was never really actually that angry or have anything to be that angry or like fed up with.
Not at that age.
Not at that age at all. But like, I was like, man, it'd be cool. You know, I wasn't thinking this at the time, but just like looking back now with a little bit of a different perspective, like, man, it would be cool to care that much about something, you know, like to the point where I care so much or it's been so bad or I'm so bent out of shape that I can make this whole album about this and like reach this, you know, like I think about like Woodstock 99 and like I was 7, but like I've seen the videos and the footage and all that other, like to be part of that crew of that that's your generation of like teens that are just like fuck everybody, you know, like.
Well, you know what's crazy is what came out of Woodstock 99. See, Woodstock 95 or was it 94? Woodstock it was Woodstock 25. It was 25 years since Woodstock. Right? Which anybody who's my age still thinks we're there, right? Because I keep going, the 60s. That was just 30 years ago. It was 60 years ago.
Yeah.
But they did it again with Woodstock 99, and what came out of that was like, dude, there was a lot of people there came out like a lot of like date rape went on. There was a lot of terrible stuff that happened at that, and that's why they never had another one. It was really bad.
Have you watched the documentary? It's insane. It's nuts.
It's crazy. There's a girl I know whose sister was on the documentary because she went. And
wow.
She was like 16 or 17 when she went, and it was, some really like not okay stuff.
Yeah,
and that's the weird. That's also the other thing is that we have also talk about evolution of music. The thing is also there were scenes, right? And there's a time, not to maybe upset my sister who's 9 years older than me, and maybe some of the more Gen X, but like hair metal. Glam rock.
Yeah.
All I ever hear about was the scene, and it's like, yeah, it was a scene. I don't know what message you were trying to put out there, right? There wasn't any like, man, I'm gonna really flip. Because that's what Kanye was, right? Like we had this still this gangster rap idea, even with Puffy and stuff. Like maybe it's more about bling and all that, but then Kanye shows up with a polo rugby shirt and a backpack, and he's like, yeah, I'm a backpack rapper. I'm bringing this back to what we. So like rock, like that's the thing. It was this scene, and I think it's wild because today I don't know what the scene. I don't know. I mean, I hear pop music. I know Taylor Swift and Doja Cat and a lot of that. What's out there, and that's fine. But like my friend Cherie, her son just went to Coachella, and I keep up with the kid. I'm checking him on Snapchat, and I'm like, so this is like. And I go, have I become the parent who's like doesn't want their kid going to this stuff now? Because I think of like Woodstock night, I'm like, what kind of insane stuff's going on there? But I don't want to be that parent.
Yeah, that's how I feel about just like what she listens to in general. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong, if because I've had periods of time where I've gone back and like listened to because music is going to take you somewhere, like what I hope is in 20 years, maybe Julia stumbles across some of the music we're listening to now and remembers, or maybe she doesn't because she's little, but like it brings back a nostalgia. It's like, oh man, I remember being in my dad's truck and thinking, why the hell does my dad listen to this? And then now that's what there's
I'd be lying to you if I don't like hear certain music that when I was in high school, I was like, that was lame. God, whoever listens to that, they're a bunch of lame or whatever. And then I hear it and I go, oh, 98. Yeah. What a good year.
What a year, it does. It's just, it's to me, it's a whole nother level, a whole nother way of like creating, because I mean, and I think about Brady coming and we kind of talked about this the other day, but like, maybe he doesn't like baseball. Maybe he doesn't like golf. Maybe he doesn't like any of the things that like as a little boy I liked, and maybe we can share a bond through music. Maybe we're not going to baseball tournaments every weekend, but maybe we're going to metal shows, or maybe we're going to country music festivals or something. Like it's just a whole nother level of like creating a bond with your kid. And I think like you've talked about opening myself up to letting my kid know I'm human too, and these are the things that get like. I don't know. It's just I
think if we establish the ability to show we're human and like this is how our self-esteem was built, how our self-awareness has come about, it will do that for them. Because while I say like, oh my God, I don't know if I want Aubrey running off with some girlfriends to Coachella.
Yeah.
But Cherie's like, yeah, Tyler got in a car and drove all the way to California, like, and went to Coachella and didn't go with anybody. Went with himself, Most likely, the thing they have that we didn't have is that they can go and meet people, which I'm still like, there's that, you can meet Buffalo Bill who like has you packing up a couch in his van and then you're in a hole putting lotion
next
on. Right?
Chris Hansen's.
Right. But like, I have to be like, Tyler is a good kid though. Mm-hmm. I've watched Tyler grow. I mean, that was Courtney's maid of honor. Like I've watched this kid since he was like 8 years old and he's 20.
Yeah.
Like he's self-aware. He's, you got to eventually kind of
let him trust.
But I was, I think that is, I look at Hootie and the Blowfish and it's so funny. I was way too rad. I was way too punk rock. I was way too anti-establishment
they
and
were
damn the
soft.
man. Yeah, like I ain't nobody trying to listen to Hootie and the Blowfish. Bro, I will bang Hootie and the Blowfish today.
That's so
and there's
funny.
a line in the movie Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise where Kurt Russell, his jail psychiatrist, is like talking to him, and he's like, I was once John, and now I'm Paul. He's talking about the Beatles. Like I was John Lennon, I was the radical, but as I've gotten older, I'm the Beatle who's still alive. I'm the Beatle I'm Paul. And it's like you grow up a little bit, and I want my kids to have that, and I want my kids to see that. But like that's I think what we're trying to establish is that like I see nostalgia and stuff that I used to kind of shit on a little bit, but I'm like, I'm more mature today, and I realize like maybe this is more my speed. I still get down to rage, but like if I'm just blasting on the highway, like Dave Matthews and a little Hootie will get me, miles down the road.
Yeah.
And that's a huge scene that's going on right now. Like my buddy Worth, he's playing at Brickyard and places like that all the time. These old skater punks who were listening to like the Descendants and the Duck Hills, and now they're playing this kind of like old like outlaw country music. They've become kind of it's become this new scene of this mash between the dead Kennedys and Chris Stapleton, and it's this weird mashup, but like that's their scene now. And I'm like, is that what happens when you're 50 and you're like an old punk skater? You're now a dusty
you start making you start making country music.
But like what was Willie Nelson?
Yeah. Well,
the Outlaws, right? Johnny Cash and Chris Christie, they were the punk rock country guys.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because they
weren't Conway Twitty and Rhinestones,
No, they were and that it's funny. I remember, and I love Luke Combs. I remember being in the Marine Corps, and my buddy Cody, rest in peace, my dude. He introduced all of us to Luke Combs when Luke Combs was making songs about freaking drinking moonshine. He has a song called "Can I Get an Outlaw," and it's basically just a big fu to all of the like pop country. Because come on, let's be real. Like, there's so much bro country that exists about dirt roads and trucks and cold beers around a bonfire, and it's like pick a song.
But that's Garth Brooks. I mean, you have that because of that '90s that it became pop.
It did. It did.
When Shania Twain ended up on 102.5 pop radio when I was like 16, I went, country music's on like the pop station?
Yeah. But
I just outed myself for saying I was listening to pop radio at 16. Well, maybe I'm not as rad as I thought I was.
I don't think it's the first time you've outed yourself, or I think we do a lot of outing ourselves on here, but I don't know. But I just think, like, again, like, we've talked about it so much, just wanting to help our children develop their true sense of identity and their true sense of self, and be comfortable with who they are, and not allow society to dictate who they are. Be the weirdo if you're the weirdo, like, and let me love you for the weirdo that you are, or be the athlete, or be the academic, or be the artsy fartsy one, or whatever. And I mean,
I just don't want him to do it at the expense of somebody else. Don't hurt anybody.
No, definitely don't hurt anybody. But I think that, like, I would make the argument that, like, music is possibly could be one of the most influential things in figuring that out along the way, or at least helping you figure out what it is that you relate to, because
music makes you lose control. Music makes you lose control.
Missy freaking Elliott, dude, one of the greatest lyricists of all time. But yeah, I don't know.
I think if you're trying to put a ribbon or a bow on this thing, because it's like this is a rabbit hole discussion that I could go on for hours.
Yeah,
because I love music. I love literature. I love film. I love the arts.
Yeah.
I'm always going to be more of a humanities guy than I am like a sciences guy. Although I believe in science very much, but I'm a literature, I'm a lit film, music kind of guy, theater, because I think it is the ability to elicit an emotion from somebody.
Yeah.
If you can, if I can speak in a way that elicits emotion, if I can watch a film, if I can hear a song,
it makes you feel something without experiencing it.
I mean, and what else am I trying to do?
Right.
Right. Like I think that is raging against the machine is not standing on a bus with a megaphone saying, you know, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. But I think it is very much in life saying, no, I'm not going to just lay down and die. When I go to my grave, my head will be high, right?
Yeah.
Like this this idea of I will not go gentle into that good night.
Yeah.
You know, I will fight and rage against the dying of the light, that my life will always be expansive. It will always grow, and I will always want to experience life. I don't want to just live it. I don't want my kids to have that, you know, like I hope that as I get older, music, movies, all that like we can have conversations that turn into, you know, hey man, you know, yeah, this makes me think of a buddy that I still consider a real good friend of mine, but we don't talk as much anymore.
Yeah.
And I wish we did. You know, we can have deeper conversations because I think that's the art of music and literature and film.
Yeah.
It's not entertainment. I can go watch.
And you go watch Transformers and get entertained. You can, but it's not necessarily going to spark a whole lot of anything. It's hard though, man. One of the things that does like kind of make me nervous, or call me dumb, I don't care. I'll admit, but with pop culture and, you know, music and all of the quote unquote popular Taylor Swifts and Dojas and all, you know, Katy Perry's, and is like, call it what it is. Let me put my tinfoil hat on for a second. But like, there's some seemingly undeniable truths about the messages that are being portrayed in some of those regards beyond the music. And it's hard not to, as like, I don't want to say fear-ridden because that's really dramatic, but like as concerned or aware as I am with my kids' well-being, it's hard to ignore some of the stuff that you see in the rabbit holes about some of these like satanic type messages and some of this, you know, Illuminati, Diddy type, you know, stuff. A lot of it I'm sure is very far-fetched, but at the same time, I would be lying if I said I didn't get caught up in it sometimes and be like, oh man, this is terrifying.
And I think that is, you know, the argument about like the you know, they make about the Roman Empire and the Colosseum. Like if you entertain them, you'll keep the masses lulled and you can do what you want. And they show like pictures of a football stadium. Like that's what they want. They want to lull us to sleep.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I also think if they can have us go down a rabbit hole about Diddy, if I can really sit there and get that just enamored with, is Diddy having a menage a million at one of his various mansions with all sorts of rapper boys, and there's this big thing that, you know, Cat Williams, and like maybe it's true. I haven't been invited to any of the parties. I've never been to Epstein Island. Did Epstein hang himself or not? I don't know.
Definitely
Here's
not.
Here's the deal. I don't care. I don't care.
But
I don't know that any of that has anything to do with how I raise my kid so that my kid can do their own research. And that's what I care about.
Yeah.
Because if my kid ever sits down with me and says, you know, Dad, I believe that aliens exist, I'm going to sit there and say, well, it's definitely an awful waste of space to think that we're the only intelligent life out here. But my question will then be, why?
Yeah.
And what makes you think that, you know, man, did you hear about Diddy? I've heard some things. Why do you think that, you know, like that's all I care about is, are you willing to do the research? Are you willing to like, don't just go, man, I saw something on whatever.com and it's the truth and the gospel. That's what music's supposed to do. That's what literature's supposed to do. That's what this Orwellian kind of like 1984, like that's what people are like, we're living in 1984. I'm like, nah. Are we really?
Yeah.
Like, go talk to somebody in Uganda and ask them, like, how bad we got it.
Yeah.
Right? You know, like, all of this is constant unraveling so that you can learn more. And man cannot fly. It has been proven time and time again, man cannot fly until two dudes in North Carolina said, hold my beer.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all, it's just pricks in the sky, and we don't know what they are, but they just kind of fall out of nowhere sometimes until eventually somebody with a big enough magnifying glass went, man, that's some balls of gas up there. And you know what? They're called stars. Like, that's all I care about is if music, whatever, everything can influence you.
Yeah.
I just want to educate them. I want to help them be able to educate themselves.
Yes.
And look, go down some rabbit holes. Get entertained for a while, dude. Like, let's, you know, why not?
Yeah.
Let's be silly.
Yeah.
Right?
It's funny, man.
I'm a little upset that Diddy didn't call me.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
Am I not your kind?
no. I'll answer that for him.
Probably not.
The answer to that is no. But yeah. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard not to go down them sometimes. And I mean, I'll tell you what, the masses on the internet are pretty convincing, and they can chop and splice and cut some things that I'm sure Ken could probably do that.
Well, here's
that
the
can
deal with
really make you believe some stuff.
With AI now, anything's, dude.
We were talking about that Thursday on the way to or from New Orleans for the show about, like how fact checking and debunking is going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry because of all of the ability to produce such false and fake information.
You know what most composite writing classes are doing, like composition writing, like learning argumentative writing, research writing and stuff in most collegiate level are doing right now? Some of the main course load topics is like banner ads. Shark washes up on beach and man loses leg. Sharks are now on land. So immediately, do we read the article or do we just go, there was a shark that got on land and it bit a dude's leg. They're growing legs now. They're able to come on land.
Which is what most people do.
You read the article and it's like a shark that was in shallow water had attacked a man. Man lost his leg. The shark ended up washing up on the land, and it's been a real big problem with the maybe coastal erosion out on the Florida Key.
Yeah.
But nobody it's just like, look, what is it? Dihydrogenized monoxide. It's been known to kill like the human race for thousands of years. You know, a thimbleful can kill you. Chipotle puts it in there. I did that during COVID. Not because I wanted to get into a COVID argument, but all of a sudden when we were locked down and everybody was stuck with nothing but their computer, people started coming up with some COVID's real, COVID's not real. Well, this witch doctor, you shouldn't take this, Ivermectin or whatever it was called, all these different things. And I started putting out like DHM, like dihydrogenized monoxide, man. Like it's killing people. There were people who immediately were like, I know. Bro, like, thank you. Like, at least you see, like, they're trying to hide this stuff from us. So dihydrogenized H. So 2 hydrogen atoms, oxygen, H2O. There were people who were like erasing their comments. And I was like, screenshot too late, buddy. I'm like, this is the problem. This is what I want to educate my kids on.
Right.
Listen to music, read books, watch TV, have your own life, but just be smart.
Yeah, don't be a
moron.
Don't. Yeah.
We got 2 old potatoes running for president, okay? It doesn't matter which side of the aisle you fall on. We're in bad shape either way.
Right.
Personally, I just believe that.
Yeah.
But like, don't just read banner ads. Don't just, don't listen to a band because they're wearing the stuff that the kid next to you at lunch is wearing. Don't, just research, develop, grow.
Yeah.
Watch out for dihydrogenized monoxide, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
It can fall from the sky.
It can wipe out cities at a time.
Oh, bro.
It can wipe out an individual. That's what's so dangerous about it.
Full of it.
That's what's so dangerous about it. There's going to be people that listen to this and go, what are they talking about? They haven't caught on to the fact that we're talking about
I
water.
literally said
Paint
H2O.
the picture.
They don't know that H2O is water.
Yeah. Well. Anyway,
And if they are, if our predominant listening base right now is from Louisiana, it just proves the point of our education system here.
it's terrible. Anyway, so I'll ask you the question. I guess we talked a lot about music and musical influence and our kids and their musical influence. I don't know how we got there. Maybe it's because I just went to a concert. I'm still shaking back. In that regard, you, Carl, when you would answer the question, what should dads do? On the subject of music.
Don't hide it.
No.
I don't believe, I think that in any, what?
Well, no, to your point, don't hide it. It just brought me back to like, they're gonna have an Aunt Tammy. Like they're gonna have a friend, and especially now, if in 1999 I was able to get access to Nookie and
Today they
out my
are.
Yeah.
I mean, no, but I'm serious.
Well, no, but like,
there's no wavy lines on a TV
I
trying
remember,
to catch a nip.
I remember in my walk, I had the Marshall the Eminem Show, that CD in my Walkman, and at the time my dad was married and my stepmom had a daughter that was my little brother's age. They were what and what, and I left the CD in the Walkman in the back seat of the van. Dude, shout out to this time of my life. But my brother and little stepsister got a hold of it and they were listening to it, and my stepmom was not happy that they got access to what Marshall was talking about. And dude, if you think for a second they're not going to get access to it, you're crazy, because they're either going to have an Aunt Tammy or they have Spotify, they have Google, YouTube, whatever. They have all Apple Music, all the ways to get.
Goes back to the Anna Huang books. I'm not. I don't want to hide it.
No.
I don't want to. I do believe that there is, to some degree, some piecemeal.
Yeah,
I kind of feed it a little bit at a time. But what I will say is that when it comes to music, because a lot of the music for me, like with Ben especially, is picking him up or dropping him off. Like we're in the car together. We're not really listening to music at the house too much. Some days, like it's clean, it's Sunday clean day. We're cleaning. I'll have, Alexa playing something. But mainly it's in the car. And what I want to be aware of for me, and what I want to do as a dad is when he says, Dad, I want to turn the music down, because I know really, regardless of the music, he's now wanting to actually talk.
Yeah.
And I just want to always be that person. I know that this can get in the way. Dad, I need to put this down, look him in the eyes, and give him a hint, and so that's all I want to do. I would never want to hide it. I don't want to keep him from it. He's going to find it eventually. Aubrey sure has.
Yeah.
But I do know that when she walks in the room and she has a question, or if he wants to talk, like, it doesn't matter what's going on, music, movie, whatever, I need to, because that attention, that moment is paramount.
Good stuff. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening. There you go. Now you're speaking my language. Anyway, go ahead, like and subscribe. Find us on YouTube, find us on Apple Podcasts, find us on Spotify. As we said at the beginning, it sounds like we may be putting video on Spotify to distract you even more while you're driving. And go ahead and check out Dad Gang Apparel. Get you a hat, get your wife a hat, get you a beanie, even though we're coming up on summertime in Louisiana. And if I see you wearing a beanie, even if it is a Dad Gang beanie, I'm probably going to say, why are you wearing a beanie? It's 140 degrees outside.
And then if you're wearing sleeves, I want to check your arms.
That too. Anyway, what's the code?
Doodads 14721, DODADS 14721. 10% off. Get you a hat. Tell everybody about Dad Gang. Tell everybody about Doodads.
Hey, and also, I don't know if the timing of this is going to be correct, so if it's not, go ahead and cut it out. But happy Mother's Day. We're coming up on Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all you mamas out there. My mama, my child's mama, all the mamas.
All the mamas. Baby mama's mamas. Mamas. Baby's mama's mamas.
All right, let's get out of here.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, man.